Oh, yes. So today, before starting anything further, let us again follow what Dr. Henneman has suggested us to say. So I'll share the screen of Henneman and Oates. This reminds us every time that what as a physician we are supposed to do for learning, for approaching to the patient, for prescribing, for managing the case, as well as from this experience, again learning. Okay, so we take Henneman and Oates. On my honor, I swear that I shall practice the teachings of homeopathy, perform my duty, render justice to my patients, and help the sick, whosoever comes to me for treatment. May the teachings of Master Henneman inspire me, and may I have the strength for fulfillment of my mission. This keeps us grounded. Okay, so here we go back to our exercise. The case of Dr. Krishna is going on. Same case we are discussing since 4.5 hours. But even then, that is so interesting because that is bringing out so many finer aspects of all the concepts that we require to apply in our day-to-day practice. So cases become just a media, and through that we are reaching to our own concepts, we are interacting with our own concepts, we are sharpening our skill of applying homeopathic fundamentals to the practice. Isn't it? So should we continue with the same case? Last time we had left it that Natrum self has done its job, and we were left for the differentiation of remedies, Natrum self from Merck sol, from Ignitia, and Natrum. Would you all say hello? Ayushi, have you given a thought on this line?
Yes, sir, we should continue with the differentiation of remedies.
Yeah, now for the differentiation of the remedies, what is most important part that we have to understand? So let us derive that. What we are supposed to do when we are differentiating remedies? What is the process? So let us see how do we differentiate remedies. Natrum was coming up very strongly. So how do you differentiate Natrum from Merck sol and Ignitia? So those who had suggested Natrum, how would they differentiate? Most close remedy, there is Ignitia, for example. they are just similar components to each other. Totality, the quality of disposition. No, we are again in the square one, Dr. Manali. But thank you very much for coming forward to roll the ball. Yeah, that is what is required. So what Dr. Manali is suggesting, that disposition and totality of symptoms will help us to differentiate remedies. But how do we apply that to this case now? So what is the disposition and totality of this patient? And how does it match with the artificial disease, that is curative power of the remedy, that is the remedy, the various drugs? I'm using more what is written in the organon. The language is organal language. Is it all, are you all conversant with it and comfortable with it? Hello? Oh, yes. Thank you, Niroz. And thanks, Dr. Kinjal. While we require to change our vocabulary, then only we will have the right perspective and right application. Usually we say we select this drug because all these rubrics are covered, or we say that this remedy is like this. For example, lycopodium is dictatorial and lycopodium is timid and lycopodium is important and lycopodium is very anxious and lycopodium is having a desire for sweet. But the language that is given in organon is what is curative power of lycopodium, what lycopodium can cure. Another point, how it is described is as an artificial disease.
Sir, can I interrupt here?
Yes, please.
Sir, you said that the craving of sweet, that is in a lycopodium.
Sorry. Tell again.
You said that the
There is a lot of
craving.
background noise. Hello.
Hello. Now is it audible?
Yeah, it is audible with a lot of background noise. Okay, come on. Tell again.
You said that the lycopodium has a certain curative power.
Sorry,
and
your
that
voice
we are,
is not audible.
Never mind, Dr. Nero, you tell me, I will repeat on your behalf. No problem. Hello, Dr. Nero, are you there?
sir, are you able to hear now?
Yes. Tell me.
You said that the craving sweet in a lycopodium. Okay. So this is the symptoms. So now if we retrospectively understand how these symptoms has actually come into the materia medica. So then we can make it to the clarity about what is to be treated in the lycopodium as a person. So whether the proving has come and the patient has developed a craving of a sweet, that is in a proving, and then it has come into the drug picture, or whether the constitution of a patient or constitution of a prover who have actually craving of sweet, and they have proved the lycopodium in a more better way, and that is why this craving sweet has actually come into the materia medica.
How do we get this answer, Nero? Is there any proving has given the basic data of the prover, and then whether they have written what are the symptoms came after giving lycopodium and whom did it come. We don't have any such data so far. Now, being a head of the homeopathic pathogenetic trial at my institution, when we conducted proving, that is homeopathic pathogenetic trial, we took up provers data and then whatever deviation has occurred that we have noted down. And when we made the master book, in that all the histories of original data of the provers also we included in that. So that if I have written desire for sweet reported by one particular prover. So above that desire for sweet, that prover's number is given. And then you can go and check in that prover's data before taking the remedy. And there you can see what was the desire earlier and now what has happened. Whether that person had already desire for sweet, it has enhanced or reduced. Or there was no desire for sweet noted over there and desire of sweet is appearing. We don't have such data in our proving books, log books, the data. What we have in our data is this particular symptom has occurred in which prover. So that prover code is given. At the most, in some of the provings of that is mathematical data. For example, data given by Allen's encyclopedia. He also mentions the time after how many hours or minutes or days this data has come out. We don't have any more than that.
So true.
So primarily, Nirav, I am coming to your point. So primarily, if we understand proving is an artificial disease, it means it is the deviation that has taken place in the prover. So all that data, what we find out, either they are a deviation in the prover, number one. Number two, either they are toxicological symptoms. Number three, they are added clinically in the proving. Now, if you read, what is the title of that book is Pathognosy by Dick, another author, I just forgot the name, I'll tell you. So in that 4 volumes, 4 or 6 volumes, he has given proving that prover has taken how much quantity of the remedy, the drug, in which form, pills form or a liquid form or a mother tincture form or potentized form, after how much time symptoms are coming up, and which are the toxicological symptoms, which are clinical symptoms. UG Sendek, that pathognosy by UG Sendek, beautiful, but it was so voluminous that we don't go for that. So Nirubhai, what you are talking is something extended thoughts, and those extended thoughts are not applied in the reproving by people. So go ahead if I have understood your point correctly.
So, the same way, if we can see that calcarea carb have a obese or chubby chicks. So does it the chubby cheeks or obesity develop after the calcare carb in approving? This is the actual constitution of the prover on which the calcare carb has been proved in a length. So I am raising these issues because we have concluded that the disposition get changed, but actually disposition is the quality of a person, which is inborn quality. So these inborn qualities are the individuality. We are not treating it.
You know what is the description of carcinogen?
Yes, sir. Yes, I know.
People having blue sclera. So it is not that during proving people have, there is the color of the sclera must have changed. If we read Materia Medica, now which Materia Medica you are talking about? The original proving or Materia Medica which are written later on subsequently by the people who are in the practice? So it is written in the calcare. It is usually for the suitable for the people who are fat, flare with the chubby cheeks. ऐसे लिखा है ना नीरो भाई? It is suited to such
Yes, yes.
people. It is suited
Yes.
to such people. But it is not always that calcare has to be given only to the fat people, and phosphorus will act only in the people who are lean and thin.
True, sir. True.
You are right. So if that is right, then obviously these are the clinical understanding that which kind of the people are usually getting affected or they need calcare carb or phosphorus or carcinogen.
So their constitutions and attributes are both the inborn qualities.
No, we are again mixing up things. We are always born with certain things, otherwise we are born with cells, we are born with tissues, we are born with our immunity, we are born with our physiological functioning, we are born with our structures. So we are existing with something. Something is already built up. And how we are here in this world, there are certain cements, certain bricks. There has to be some material of certain quality. So material and material having the quality. And with that, we adapt well and we still survive without any discomfort. What Dr. Henneman talks in entire organon is not of health. He talks mainly of not at ease. And what we are helping the patient is to restore sick from sickness to health. So we talk all about sickness. What you are talking about, everybody is built or they are born with the constitution. We are mixing up that we are not born with the sickness. We are born with health or sickness, depending upon what is the soil which is making me. That soil is defective or that soil is strong by itself. Are you with me, Nero bhai?
Yes, sir. I was just thinking about that case that you have shared, the craving of bitter gourd that you shared in the last session. So that craving of bitter gourd was the natural craving of that particular boy, and we have concluded this is a not natural according to the norms and the society of the people, but
No,
this is
no,
the
no.
craving.
We are not concerned with the statistical norm. We are concerned that desire for that Karela, bitter gourd, whether it is the symptom or sickness of the child.
It was not a symptoms, it was a constitution.
No, it has to be a symptom, otherwise it will not enter into the totality of symptom. Because totality of the symptoms suggests us the remedy which is the curative power to cure those totality of symptoms. So person's restoration will take place. So what is the sickness in the desire and aversion?
So can you elaborate in this? What is a sickness in desire and aversion?
हाँ,
Please.
कोई तो मुझे हेल्प करो यार, मैं वो अकेला क्या करूं? हम लोग 27-26 लोग हैं और आओ ना आगे. Somebody come up. Neeru, you are always raising fundamental questions. Okay, Manali, are you there?
Yes, sir.
बोलो.
Like suppose a person has desire for sweet. At the end, he knows that that sweet is going to harm him, but he is not able to control it.
Okay.
That is one thing. Or otherwise, that every nutrient in the body has to be balanced. All the, be it any taste or be it any particular nutrient. But when you take one thing in excess, which it is excess. Excess of anything is not good. It can. Are you understanding?
Go ahead, go ahead.
ऐसे रहेगा तो फिर वॉट से क्या प्रॉब्लम है? वॉट को क्यों ट्रीट करने का? ठीक है ना, वो है ना, है वॉट तो है. सिंपल स्वीट का क्रेविंग है तो है. इट्स नॉट लाइक दैट. It is in excess. It is a well defined symptom because it has a specificity to it. इतना क्रेविंग फॉर स्वीट है कि पता है कि मैं बीमार होने वाला हूँ, फिर भी मैं खाऊंगा. क्यों? क्योंकि मुझे मेरे पे कंट्रोल नहीं. So it has a specificity. It is a symptom. It is peculiar.
Manali, Dr. Manali, Dr. Neerav's question is, how does that become symptom?
Because it is out of proportion.
Dr. Hardik is also supporting you, that he is also telling something is in excess. Okay, something is excess or something is in deficit. Both the condition is a problem. So
Yes.
what is that problem?
Sir, I think to understand this dilemma, we should first understand what is the definition of symptom.
अरे यार, आप तो कहाँ लेके जाओगे नीरव भाई? हाँ, what is the symptom? बोलो.
Something which creates uneasiness in the person.
Okay, symptom. Okay.
Which can be perceived objectively or subjectively.
Okay. नीरू भाई, आप बता, हाँ ना बोलते जाना, नहीं तो
सर वो एक्चुअली ये डेफिनेशन समझ में आएगा तो ही हम समझ पाएंगे ना, बिकॉज outwardly reflected picture of the internal derangement. So first there must be a derangement which has to be
very good. बहुत
perceived
अच्छा.
outwardly.
Very good, very good. बहुत अच्छा
So-
बताया डॉक्टर.
So if this Dr. Manali is saying craving the sweet is an outwardly manifestation of an internal derangement. First
No,
is the question.
last time also we discussed on this that if I have a craving of sweet or a craving of salt, that is not the issue. The craving is excess. That is the deviation. That पहले तो मुझे पसंद था salt, लेकिन अभी तो मैं salt के बिना रह नहीं सकती. That deviation has made it a symptom, not the craving for salt. The craving for salt that it is making me think about it and I just need to have it. That deviation and that specificity has made it a symptom.
So I think there is no clear-cut definition of this clarity about this excess and the normal in our materia medica. So in materia medica, the always written as a symptoms, and in organon, even Hahnemann has mentioned about when you are making a totality, you also have to understand the constitutions on which you are using this remedy. So that constitution also has to be matched. And that is why we take the certain dispositional quality into the totality. So whether this dispositional quality is a constitutional feature that we are considering, or whether this dispositional quality is a symptoms which we are considering.
नहीं अभी देखो डॉक्टर नीरव, we are again mixing up two things. Your basic question is what is a symptom? We have to first address to that, then only we can go to the disposition. And you define symptom is internal derangement of the vital force which is expressed externally. ये बराबर है?
I think group has to say that.
No, but whether you see your fundamental question, it is raised by you. So this is what you said, na? Whatever I understood from your definition, is it?
Yes, yes, yes.
So it is external manifestation of internal derangement of vital force.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. So there are two things. One is external manifestation, and there another point is internal derangement. So there is something happening inside which is expressed outside. Barabar? So what of the internal is expressed outside? Derangement is expressed. So what do we understand by derangement?
I think derangement is the normal functioning has certain alteration.
Okay, so alteration in the normal functioning, right? To the extent of what? It is deranged. Deranged. What is deterioration? D means
there is a
degrades.
disturbance in the arrangement. There is a disturbance in the arrangement. That is derangement.
नहीं सुनो ऐसे नहीं. Degrade. ग्रेड को डाउन करता है. Derange. जो रेंज है उसका फंक्शनिंग का, उसको क्या करता है? डाउन करता है. यानी here its quality is having a downfall. Internal derangement. So there is the disturbance wherever we see the internal disturbance come up. So this internal disturbance of what? What is of the vital force? So what is vital in the system? Force is the energy. Vital is something essential, something important. So what is required of that internal essential energy? बोलो ना, harmony ना. What is required is harmony, homeostasis,
Yes, sir. Balance.
balance. That is what we call as physiology. So what is physiological thing? Physiological thing is there are harmony, homeostasis. The function is going on so smoothly that we do not become aware about so many things happening within us. Things are happening in synchronized manner. It is so much synchronized manner so that things are very smoothly happening. So that is deranged. There is a disharmony. And that is the lack of homeostasis. So this is happening. So there whatever accordance that is lost. So now there is no accordance among them, all the functions. That is why now, if you are, for example, you are riding on a cart which are having 2 horses or many horses, and then if they are having the rhythm, your cart goes smooth. But every horse has its own. So Dr. Sunita says perfectly right. There will be a chaos. Every horse will go in its own direction. And so one who is having the reins will have to apply extra force. Extra energy will be required to even then function, to let the functions continue. And this expenditure of energy will make the system further weak. Weakness of the immunity, weakness of the electrolyte imbalance, weakness in the electrical imbalance, weakness in the magnetic imbalance, weakness in heat regulation, weakness in circulation. So all these things will start coming up because there is disharmony, lack of synchronicity, and energy expenditure will be more. And this disturbance is expressed outside. So now inside, what is happening? Lack of control. Dr. Manani talked about control. When person lacks the control, energy expenditure is more, and when energy expenditure is more, will you be at ease? There will be a lot of discomfort because you are spending more than required. Let it be money, let it be energy, or let it be anything. If it is spent more than required or it is spent less than required, it will create nothing but discomfort as a result of disharmony within. And this is expressed outside. So internal, it goes to the level that now it comes from the surface. It is unmanageable at the internal level. So it goes on spreading. It spreads to the outside level. And that we tell it as a symptom. We tell it as a feeling of discomfort, uneasiness. So whatever is expressed outside is actually internal lack of the control. control system is corrupted. This harmony is settled in. Now, if somebody has liking and disliking, we don't bother much. The wordings are given are loathing and longing. It is not the matter. I like somebody, I like this food, but that I like and I dislike, it is not causing the uneasiness and problem. But I say I like this to the extent that I have to have it, otherwise I am upset or I am uneasy or I have a problem. So one thing is I cannot adapt to it. My adaptation is a problem. When we are taking case, we should not be light, we should not be frivolous, we should not be heedless, careless. That whatever patient says we turn into symptom. It has to be loathing and longing that something is beyond my capacity to control. I cannot manage it. I cannot adapt to this. That is why we require to correct it. So that is one point. Another point is, I know it is going to harm me, but even then, so that it becomes a symptom because control system is lost. So number one is something which is so much that I can't adapt to it, or something is so much that I can't manage or control it. So that is why they require to be corrected. That requires to be restored to the level where I don't continue to have the problem with it. That is why we are born with so many our discrimination. We are born with our own judgment. We are born with our liking and disliking, but we adapt well. Till that time, it doesn't require to be corrected. It means I understand time, I understand the situation, so I can understand time and circumstances. Dr. Sunita, I will come to identity later on. Not if I can I can be in accordance with the time and circumstance. I am flexible enough to adapt to the situation with the change of time and circumstance. I can manage well. It means I control it. It is not controlling me. The moment your situation and time starts controlling you, and you can't adjust to it. Your identity is made in such a manner that I said, oh, I am like this. I can't change. The problem begins. Nirogai.
Sir, agree to the understanding of a symptoms level, which is the deviation level. But now, when we are making it as the attributes or disposition, it altogether have a
I have
different.
not come to that point. First, we have to understand. आप है ना एक लेवल से दूसरी लेवल ये है तो ये पहले कंप्लीट कर लो ना.
Yes, complete, sir. हो गया.
तो ये कंप्लीट हो गया ना तो बोलो ना
Yes.
yes it has been understood, you agree with this because your agreement and disagreement makes a lot of difference for us.
Yes sir, agree. The concept
symptom
of
is
symptoms
understood.
is agree. Yes sir.
Symptom is understood. Okay.
Yes.
Now the point is how a symptom becomes a state, how state becomes diathesis, and how diathesis help us to understand disposition. Otherwise, I say ulta. There is a disposition then we get diathesis, then we get state, and we get symptoms. Since you have brought the idea of disposition, what is it? Disposition. What is your position? Is what has become disposition.
No, sir. The dictionary gives a different meaning of
हाँ
disposition.
बोलो बोलो डिक्शनरी का बोलो.
It is the inherent quality or characteristic of a person.
आप आगे पढ़ो. वेबस्टर पढ़ो. वेबस्टर में एक डेफिनेशन नहीं है. आगे पढ़ो.
A person's inherent quality of mind and character,
आगे पढ़ो.
a way in which something is placed or arranged, especially in relation to one another.
वेरी गुड. आगे पढ़ो. ये लिखो. ये सब इम्पोर्टेंट है. It require when we talk of disposition, it is concerned with something in relation or connection. Okay, go to the next.
सर इसमें दो ही है अभी.
नहीं, Webster.
मेरे पास नहीं है. And if anyone else,
सर मैं पढ़ता हूँ.
पढ़ो.
Prevailing tendency, mood or inclination.
हाँ,
दूसरा है
अभी वापिस लिखो. वापिस पढ़ो. क्या?
prevailing tendency.
हाँ, tendency. Word लिखो tendency.
Yes.
Second word लिखो inclination.
Yes.
Prevailing. It is prevailing. Prevailing means जो है, exist है. बराबर?
Yes. Third,
ग्रुप पे
temperamental.
डाल दिया.
चलो चैट बॉक्स में देखो. मनाली डॉक्टर has done the favor.
Yes. C है tendency of make something to act in a certain manner.
देखो मैं एक बात हमको समझना जरूरी है. डिक्शनरी पढ़नी कैसे है.
Yes, sir.
Dictionary origin of the word may be in 1865 or 17th century or 19th century. We have to go to the etymology of the word origin and etymology. So that gives us idea how the word came into existence, from which language, and how it is broken up, and what is the meaning of each word, that is every component of that word. So, and then we see century by century or decade by decade, the word meaning changes, because how we are using that makes it a difference. So we have to understand that when that word was introduced. I give you one example. चाहिए example? देखो आपका 10-20 तो हो गया है. You have 40 minutes left.
Yes, sir.
आप मुझे बोलो. How nicely say that you are looking smart. What a smart fellow he is. So how do you feel if you are told smart? बच्चा तैयार हो क्या आता है, माँ बोलती है अरे आज तो स्मार्ट लग रहा है कि नहीं.
Yes, sir.
So smart is what? It is an absolutely positive quality that we require to be smart, not dull. है ना? Outstanding तो होना चाहिए. अभी मुझे बताओ नेरो भाई, पंकज भाई,
Yes, sir.
मनाली, सुनीता बेन, ये बताओ. So it means euphrasia has a smarting eyes. smarting pain. So there should be a good quality, right?
No, sir.
तो smart का मतलब क्या है? Smart is
Sharp.
smart is what?
Sharp.
Sharp. जो चुभता है ना,
Hmm.
स्मार्ट इज चुभना. तो मैं स्मार्ट दिखा यानी मैं आपकी आंखों में चुभा.
Hmm.
आपको लगा अरे ये स्मार्ट लग रहा है, मैं डल लग रहा हूँ उसके कंपैरिजन.
Hmm.
सो स्मार्ट विच आज हम पॉजिटिव क्वालिटी बोलते हैं, दैट स्मार्ट इज नॉट पॉजिटिव इन सम पॉइंट ऑफ टाइम.
Yes.
आई थिंक सर स्मार्ट है ना, डिक्शनरी में उसके डिफरेंट मीनिंग है, हम उनको ऐसे नहीं ले सकते सर.
बराबर है,
स्मार्ट
अभी बराबर है. आप ऑक्सफोर्ड डिक्शनरी लेंगे, बड़ी वाली ऑक्सफोर्ड लेंगे ना जो 2 वॉल्यूम में
देखो
है.
सर, ब्रिटिश में स्मार्ट का मीनिंग क्लीन, टाइडी एंड वेल ड्रेस. इनफॉर्मल में उसका डिक्शनरी मीनिंग है हैविंग और शोइंग ए क्विक विटेड इंटेलिजेंट. और उनके वर्ब्स में अगर लेते हैं तो उनका मीनिंग आता है शार्प स्टिंगिंग पेन. तो वो हम इसका कोनोटेशन स्मार्ट का मीनिंग हम उसको किसी के आंख में चुभा वैसा हम इंटरप्रिटेशन नहीं कर सकते सर.
नीरो भाई, things change with the decade and with centuries and with time. That is what I am telling you. आपको आज जो आप पढ़ रहे हो ना, that was written in 18th century और आप पढ़ रहे हो 21st century में. So please, we require to keep the context to what we are reading. यही बात मैं कर रहा हूँ, आप जो बात बोले वही बराबर है.
Sir, salute you, sir. Salute you. This is your wisdom, unparalleled wisdom, sir. This is what you are here for, sir. Thank you.
My teachers have taught me like
Sir.
this,
Thank you.
which I am sharing with you. I am not the original person for this idea, and that is what I am putting across the group. That we have to. There are so many meanings, and we have to take the meaning which we are actually applying for our purpose. That is why, Nirobhai, when we read Oxford Dictionary or even Webster Dictionary, they write, as per law, definition is this. As per psychology, definition is this. As per medical, definition is this. And we have to understand that. And most important is how the word was originated. Nirobhai, what is the original meaning of anger? Original meaning of anger is grief. So what is the relationship of grief and anger? तो अभी हम एक सेशन शुरू कर देंगे, एक अलग सीरीज शुरू कर देंगे रूब्रिक्स की. ठीक है ना?
यस सर.
तो रूब्रिक्स का एक मॉर्निंग सेशन शुरू करेंगे. Let me just work on this. You also work collectively. We work on this matter. So, disposition, where you are displaced from your position. So, what was my position? My position was health. My position was feeling of easiness. My position was feeling of adaptation. My position was harmony. My position was I was having absolutely with the state of happiness and calmness, contented. Whatever I say, I was not in the state of discomfort. I am in the state of comfort. Now disposition means now I tend to become, I'm tend to move from my position. I'm tend to have disharmony. I tend to have the problems. The another word in the dictionary for disposition is tendency, vulnerability, susceptibility. So I am vulnerable to this, means I am having the disposition. So I am built with the disposition, certain weaknesses, certain tendencies, certain vulnerabilities, certain sensitivity, certain way to get affected easily than others, or likely to get affected more frequently with such things. It means I lack my control over this. Are you getting the point, Nirobhai? How the symptoms are connected with the disposition. When I tend to get such symptoms frequently, then those symptoms are telling me what is my disposition. Disposition doesn't come up at the outset on the outside. What surface up is only through symptoms. And when I see, invariably I am getting these symptoms. So I am having the tendency to get affected. For example, this patient is having tendency to catch cold. Every time she gets wet in the rain or she takes anything which is cold, she is likely to get affected at the outset. So disposition, she is having the tendency to get affected. Now I have a tendency to get affected, but do I get affected? So I need certain circumstances to get affected. So what to provide circumstances? My inheritance provides circumstances. And that is how I go on spending more and more continuously. So I go into the chronicity. Or I tend to get affected and respond so violently. So there is something that has a capacity to excite me. So exciting factors. And so I present with acute. So acute disease come up with excitable causes, and chronic is from the fundamental cause. That is how Dr. Henneman has stated in aphorism number 5. And what provides the circumstances so that these factors, excitable factor, but more so ever, the fundamental factors can cause the problem. So this accessory circumstances as described in aphorism number 5. In that, one of the feature is ascertainable constitutional features. Nirobhai.
Yes, sir.
So in my makeup, there are certain loopholes, there are some weak spots, there are certain tendencies which are coming up, and that requires further things so that these tendencies become active, like occupation, my age, my relationship, my sexual functioning, my diet and regimen. So all these things will make the weakness wider, my loopholes bigger, so that this tendency now becomes active and turns into diathesis. And this diathesis is called as latent miasm, latent sora, the better word. That Henneman has said in under latent sora, he has put word diathesis. It means now I am in the subclinical state. Disposition means I am likely to get affected. I am vulnerable to these points, on these issues, on this matter, on this my strength.
Sir, I have understood. I am agree with these issues. What you are discussing. But one thing is still constantly in my mind is how do we differentiate what is the basic quality of the person with which he has been born and as a disposition, and as a disposition his quality which is vulnerable to produce the disease, because every individual have been born with certain qualities, and these are the natural qualities of there, and they are not affecting them. They are the quality with which they have been born. And what you said is about the quality which is actually making a problem when there is an exciting cause occurs, and they get precipitate up and they produces a certain symptoms. So the kind of dispositional quality have a two different phases.
Nirubhai, your question has the answer in it.
Yes, sir. अगर वो डिस्पोजिशन है तो क्वालिटी नहीं है.
आप मुझे ये बोलो नीरू भाई, if child is born with cleft palate, is that natural or not natural? Cleft palate is not artificial. It is not artificial. It is natural.
Unnatural. It is not natural.
अरे वही तो मैं बात कर रहा हूँ. Cleft palate हुआ तो कुदरती हुआ ना, अकुदरती हुआ कुछ. Nature, what is opposite of nature is artificial. This is natural, this is artificial.
Yes, it is natural.
Very good, very good. So now let us begin with this. That everybody is born naturally. The zygote formation, embryo formation, development, and if he is taking birth, then he has undergone the natural process. That is why we say that this conception is a natural conception and this conception is an artificial conception. An artificial conception, but the development is natural. And those natural development imbibes all the qualities. The chemistry of the zygote formation, that qualities will go into the embryo. And we have already discussed that adaptation take place जब तक बच्चा मस्ती करता है. What is said? हाँ, बच्चा है ना, मस्ती करता है. लेकिन वो भी बच्चा बड़ा होके मस्ती करता है. Then what do we say? ए मस्ती मत कर, अभी तो तू बड़ा हो गया. मस्ती ही है, saying the same person. ये पॉइंट हमें समझना है. That when something is out of control, if something is out of proportion, or something which is unwarranted, or something which is not in accordance to time and circumstances, that requires a correction. Whatever requires correction is sickness. So many things. There is a Hanuman to come down with the latent miasm. That so many things we continue to live, taking them for granted. Kamar dukhi, okay, itna dukhi, I take rest, it will be all right. I don't bother and pay attention to correct it. That what is making my backache to occur. आप लिखो, सब लोग एक लिस्ट बनाओ. That you are allowing that thing to happen. You allow that, allow yourself not to pay attention to that, and you allow things to happen. आपके बाल गिर रहे हैं इतने, तो वो क्या करने का, वर्रस का हुआ. मुझे पंखा सहन नहीं होता, I can't tolerate this fan, but it is okay, I will take the covering. We find out the way of overlooking and not paying attention, but that sensitivity of the cold which is troubling me and I am not attending it, that is the first initial sign of internal derangement. These are the expression of the disposition. That you are vulnerable, take care, but we don't take care because we are able to bear that much cost. It is not something extravagant. That is not something which is beyond my capacity to tolerate. So patient when comes to us, they comes with the shouting and crying and screaming that I have so much of the headache. But before headache, a lot of things which were contributing to headache were overlooked. Nirove, does that give you answer?
Yes, sir.
Now we understand the word of ideal cure. What are the ideals of cure? In that last but not least, very important word is permanent. That is kept at the end. The first it should be rapid. Immediate पहले उसको आराम दे दो. Give the relief. And do it gently. It should not be harsh way. But make sure that though that relief continue long, it goes to the level of the permanent of level. How will it become permanent? Unless the underlying tendencies are dealt with, how will it be permanent? So active tendencies are dealt with when you are considering a remedy. That is what Dr. Kent said, man in disease. Okay. So the group has made my task so simple, so easy. What I want to share with you further. But ये fundamentals में difference of opinion होंगे तो please voice out. It is not that what I tell and what I say is correct. I am just sharing my understanding with you. And when I am sharing with you, I become more and more clear. So bring out your doubts. Tell me where you don't agree.
सर नीरव भाई के डाउट से दूसरों के डाउट भी सॉल्व हो रहे हैं.
ये बहुत बार क्या है, ये सारे
पंकज में मगर मेरा अभी भी वही स्टेट है
Okay, I am still with the struggling of what is a disposition as a constitutional quality, and what Sir is talking about the disposition as a abnormality, which is we have to treat. So I totally understand and agree with the what Sir is discussing. The we have to treat that particular disposition which is in a excess or deviation in a form, but still the inborn quality with which everyone we born with certain quality. So what is about this quality, and we say that this is a quality of person and that is this is a disposition, and we are not treating this disposition. So how do we differentiate?
Nirubhai, what a fantastic thing you have brought out. Very nice. You have gone to the final level. If the person is born with a certain character and attributes, and if that is not creating a problem, what is to be treated in that? Will you still like to treat that?
No.
No. So then, does it require any placement in our totality of symptom? Does that require any consideration when we are making the portrait? Because we don't want to correct it. Remedy,
Yes.
even then you will take it?
No, sir, we will not
No.
take it.
No, bas to khatam ho gaya na. Whatever you are not going to take, then you are spending your entire focus and energy on that, which is not going to help you to decide a remedy. Your entire purpose is to decide remedy. Remedy means what has the capacity to cure. So you are focusing mainly on the curative power. And before that, we have been given strict instruction, define what is to be cured in each case. So we focus only on this is to be cured. I like black color. Your question has to be to me, what is to be treated in your liking for black color? I say, whatever is the occasion, I prefer to wear black only. Without black, I am fixed, I am not flexible. So even if I go to marriage, I wear black, and even if I go to crematorium, I wear black. And if I am going for some auspicious function or ceremony, puja, I wear black, which is a misfit to the situation. Are you with me? So then it requires a correction. But if I like black, but I know what to use when. My preference is black, but it is okay. I can wear anything else. Because that my party is demanding me to wear red, and my puja wants me to wear yellow pitambar. So I am as per the time and circumstance. Some people are born artists. You don't need to treat them. Means you don't need to train them. They are born artists. But do we need to treat them because they are artists? But we have a remedy, artistic carcinogen. So when will you treat disposition to be artistic? When will you treat courageous? When will you treat fastidious? When will you treat cheerful? When will you treat all these things?
Sir, when it becomes a qualified mental.
No. When courageous is out of proportion, or courageous is not expected, or courageous cannot be controlled. आप समझ रहे मेरी बात? It starts giving a problem to the person or the people around.
So how do we understand intellectual?
हाँ बहुत अच्छा है. आपका तो और भी एक रूब्रिक है, ऑब्जेक्टिव रीजनेबल. बचपन से बोला जाता है, यू बी ऑब्जेक्टिव, you have to be reasonable in your action, be intellect, don't be so emotional fool. है कि नहीं? But we are made a balance of intellect and emotion. That is why not only IQ, EQ is required. But person loses this balance when person loses the control, cannot, the intellect is controlling emotions or suppressing emotions. हमें बोला जाता है ना, hey you are boy, you can't cry. So what happens? My emotions are all gone, not allowed to express. Always I am told, think. Don't act without thinking. Or in the state of the deviated state of the proving, we find person much more intellect. Now you say memory active. क्या ठीक करना है उसमें? It has been seen that person's memory is active during the proving. So that activity is not the natural or normal of that person. मेमोरी एक्टिव तो अच्छा है ना, उसको वही स्टेट में रहने दो. नहीं, प्रिकोसिटी क्यों ठीक करना है भाई? क्यों रूब्रिक है? So person who is precocious, everything is happening before the age. So what is going to happen? I'm going to die before the age. My degeneration will be before the age.
Fantastic, sir.
We all are born with characters. That is why our shapes are of a particular type. Shape of body, shape of mind. So that makes, अच्छा इसका कैरेक्टरिस्टिक ये है, वो ठीक करना है क्या? एफोरिज्म में 3 को लेना है पहले, and then we have to simply match it with the curative power of the remedy. Now, so Nirubhai, can I move further or still you have doubt? Because our doubts are very important and I would love to share my views about it.
Sir, I am very clear what you have said. Thank you. Fantastic.
Okay, it is my pleasure. In this case, let us see how do we apply disposition and symptoms and diathesis, and from that do we understand the totality now? क्योंकि प्रैक्टिकल एप्लीकेशन तो चाहिए ना हमें. I hope my screen is visible to you all.
Yes.
5th April is the last we had seen this. Okay, this is the improvement. Visions are better, discoloration is better, her hypersensitivity is better, blood sugar levels are worse, 240. She had not conducted herself with a diet. So from whatever discussion we have, I'm moving to the next slide. What is totality of symptom of this case? How do I build it? Last time we had some formula. Kinjal, you have written down what was the formula of making totality of symptom?
Yes, sir.
क्या था?
Just a minute. Yeah, we'll ask whom, who, why, what, and what else.
हाँ. So who क्या?
Whom is the disposition? Who
हाँ.
is cause? Why is
Why
morbid
is cause?
phenomenon?
Yeah. हाँ.
Why is morbid phenomenon? What is peculiarities, and what else is the
Okay,
what?
okay. I'll just
Yeah.
summarize. Who? Who means the one who is getting affected. And what is to be focused in that? The deviated, the change in the personality. So that is with the disposition. And when we talk about deviation, it also talks about the point of origin, that is a cause. So it connects with the why. Do you see now how totality is made? We talk about who, but that will automatically connect to the why. Hello, ये समझ रहे हो क्या? This is not 1, 2, 3, 4. This is who means deviation, the change in the personality, and the change has to occur from the point of origin. So point of origin does not occur without any cause. So now cause is connected with the who. So why is connected with who. And when cause is bringing the deviation, then what deviation has occurred? So that it speaks about the peculiarity of the deviation. See, so now we have connected who with why with what. Then occurs how it is happening. So morbid phenomenon. So what and how goes together and makes the morbid phenomenon. Then the circumstances which change. See how everything is connected, that makes the totality. Let us see how we can apply to this case. This person who is in front of us is having 36 years of journey. In that, patient had since about 2 years diabetes mellitus, and since 1 to 1.5 years, patient has started developing non-responding ringworm. This ringworm has its own peculiarity that aggravated in when heated and better by cold application. Patient also has headache, which is hammering type with certain affecting circumstances. There is pressure and noise aggravated, and this should be better by tight bandage, not worse. Okay, please make the correction. So person who is having currently diabetes and ringworm, sometime before was having headache which of certain kind. How they are connected, headache with diabetes mellitus? Let us see if we can find out any connection. This person also has autoimmunity. There is a inborn autoimmunity. How come? Because there is a diabetes mellitus. Of what type? Father is diabetic mellitus and grandfather was having severe diabetes mellitus and he died because of the complication of diabetes mellitus. So diabetes mellitus is running into generation. So the trait is running, autoimmunity is running. It may be my hypothesis. You may correct it or you may take it what that is suitable to your reasoning. I am just presenting my idea now there may be certain gaps which I'm putting across, which requires further elaboration, exploration, and investigation. But I'm taking certain jumps. So, family history of diabetes, mellitus, and also paternal grandmother of this patient, whose uncle died of cancer, and I think her father also died of cancer. So there is a autoimmune disease in the background. There is hypersensitivity. Some may have certain reservation about this word. Sensitivity, when it is altered, then it is hyper or it is hypo. And this patient has hyper, not hypo. So in that context, I am using this. And this hypersensitivity is derived because there is a family history of atopic diseases like asthma, atopic dermatitis. This data was not given in the case, but I know this family, so I'm adding to you that there is atopic, which now this asthma is what? Hyper reactive airway disease. So that is what is hypersensitivity in the person. Now let us see whether we have anything further to support it. We take up now the disposition, tendencies of the person. One tendency which is highlighted, tendency to catch cold, getting wet in rain, taking cold things. Now this is reflecting hypersensitivity of the person, his reactivity to the sensitivity of catching cold. Another point is patient is hot and obese. Hot means reacts to heat and has very poor threshold. And we know that person gets heated and gets aggravated. And now hot and obese, this combination, just think about what happens to obese person when they are feeling more hot. They perspire a lot, folds get affected. This disposition in the diabetic person, what is developing? A ringworm. Aversion sweets, disposition to aversion sweets. She dislikes to have sweets. That is creating discomfort in her. She requires to take salt and she prefers chocolate. And many questions must be coming in your mind, which if the time permits, I don't know how much time is left. I can't see time. Can you tell me how much time is left?
Sir, it's already 11.
It is already 11. So do we stop here now? We adhere to the
No,
time.
sir, let's complete this and then we.
Then it will it may take 15-20 minutes because there is something coming up. Okay. And
Sir,
staining
please
menses.
continue.
Okay. Staining menses. Those who has to leave, you may leave. I will put a recording for your reference. So hot and obese person, these are the dispositional qualities. That this patient is tend to be obese. This patient is tend to be getting affected by heat. And menses staining, that is a disposition, the tendency of the patient. Mind is hypersensitive, where ego gets offended if not valued, if criticized. That is how person is hypersensitive. It leads to the anger. She shouts. Hyperexcitability is coming up. In such situation, she seeks solitude, aversion to talk. We know all these features, and which is aggravation by consolation. Here we see all the symptoms, how they are connected with each other. Now the point is, we don't understand headache, hammering, what it has to do with diabetes mellitus or hypersensitivity, autoimmunity, and such disposition. I have no answer at this point of time. So I proceed further. Anybody has any question or any point or any correction in the totality of symptoms, please tell. This is my version, but it may be possible to improvise it.
In the mind, the disposition part and the state part, I think the group may get confused, sir, in your presentation.
नहीं, मैंने यहाँ कुछ स्टेट बोला नहीं है अभी. आप अभी वापस वो शुरू करना है तो हम कर सकते हैं.
Okay.
Okay. Symptom is what? Expression that we see. What is the state? State is the phase. During that phase, whatever persists. So I am having the state of ringworm or state of diabetes mellitus since 2 years. Now, the trait of the diabetes. Now, before 2 years, patient was diagnosed with diabetes mellitus because of certain expression. But it does not mean that patient was not having diabetes mellitus before that, or trait was not there, or vulnerability is not there. Maybe gestational diabetes might have occurred. We don't know. We have to see. We have to adequate evidences to say. But here we can connect from the family history to this. So we can say that person is having the disposition to have diabetes. It is not simply the state of diabetes. Is this point clear? Am I obvious about my thought process, Dr. Jagruti?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So now we need to identify what is the essentiality of a case. So all the essential points are connected with each other as far as it was possible to connect. And if I am not possible to connect, who will help me to connect? Only the patient. So I have to go back to the patient to complete it. But at this point of time, we don't have the patient. So to the next slide. Combination and connection between essentials of disease will help us to make the totality. Totality has to make something total, complete. Total is not fragments. Total is connection and combination. Now, what will help us? These are the points. If we take into the consideration and establish combination and connection between them, then it will become totality of symptom. But there should be essentially expressing the disease, which requires to be treated. Am I clear in what I told?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So these are the points we take into the account, and we establish the combination and the connection between them. We combine and then we establish the connection. And there should be the essence of the disease. So I go further. What are the striking features in this case? So what are most essential part? At one side, we say patient is hot, becoming heated aggravates, skin is better by cold. So all these things suggest us that patient is sensitive to heat. On the other side, tendency to catch cold, aggravated getting wet, and cold, taking cold is aggravating. These two things are controversial, no? So that is why they become striking feature. One side patient is craving for chocolate, or other side we find aversion for sweets. So how these two things occur in the same person? This is a striking feature. Patient's hammering headache is worse by pressure, 2 mark, but at the same time is better by tight bandage. At one side, patient feels very offended, hurt, angry, short-tempered. Though patient gets hurt and offended, but worse by consolation. So these are the striking features. So in our totality, essentially they should be placed in the right way. It is not just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is the connection after the combining. Once you combine certain things, then you connect them. You combine them because they are similar, or you combine them because they are dissimilar, and then establish the connection between this group. To derive the theme, this is mentioned by Dr. Kent in How to Study Repertory on the second page, on the first column, in the second paragraph. So I go ahead. Is this point clear? Hello.
Yes, sir.
This is stated by Dr. Boger to find out. He has talked about the remedy, genius of remedy. The same way we have to find out genius of disease. Then only genius of disease, we match it genius of remedy. So this is what we have, what is running through and through is hypersensitivity and autoimmunity, with defined hypersensitivity at the level of mind and level of body. Even you can have the common miasm also. Is that difficult here now? Getting weight in drain aggravation and staining menses. So they are connected to miasm also, no? In the obese person. So miasm is obvious. Yes or no? Traditionally we see, then it is a psychotic miasm. So taking all these features in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, this is the repertorization. So again we are going into analytical. We synthesized, now again we are breaking up. So this is very dangerous exercise. With much difficulty we could synthesize. Now again we are breaking it. And we should not fall into the trap of analysis. That is what Hahnemann and everybody said, we have to go back to the synthesis. Aphorism number 153 itself says that whatever is to be treated, so natural disease has to be matched with the artificial disease on the ground of striking, singular, uncommon, and peculiar symptom. That is essence of the disease, totality of these symptoms. अभी देखो यहाँ से अभी दवा, can you differentiate your remedy? What is covering up more is calcarea, but we have not thought of calcarea. Why we have not thought of calcarea? Calcarea carb is chilly. Patient is very hot, sensitive to heat. But then there are so many hot calcarea. Somebody suggested me calcarea sulf. Oh yes, why not calcarea sulf? But essentially, calcarea sulf skin itching is better by warm. Despite calcarea sulf is sensitive to heat, but it is better by warm, a striking feature. And this patient skin is better by cold. We can differentiate at various levels, but I am giving very simple steps to differentiate. Likewise, calcarea sulf is sensitive to what? Sensitive to, if not recognized, despised.
Neglected.
Huh?
Neglected.
And this patient is having sensitivity to not valued. When criticized. Now, one can be interpreted in another way also. So we have to be very clear about also those things, such things. That we should not interpret, but take patient's words as it is and match in the remedy. Okay, we have given natrum mure. We have given natrum sulf. Natrum mure comes up in the case. Mark, where is mark? Here is mark. This is mark. So why not mark? Mark sol? Hello?
Doesn't match the disposition of the patient.
But what in the disposition is not matched? Desire for salt is in the mark. Now see, now mark is covering so much. What is not covered is only chocolate. Or what is not covering is hammering headache. Otherwise, desire, aversion, becoming heated, noise, everything is covered by mark. So mark has curative power of all so much of the symptoms. So that is why we have to go back. What is the anger of this patient? What is the anger of mark?
Mark has a more of a syphilitic anger whereby
Sorry?
Work has more of impulsive anger. There's a lot of violence and impulse.
Let us talk little differently. Mark has a capacity to cure impulsive anger.
Okay.
हम ये लैंग्वेज में बात करेंगे?
हाँ, ठीक है. Fine. You get accustomed to it.
The impulsive anger. Okay. Mark also has the capacity to cure violent anger. Now here what is happening? The patient gets angry, excited and shouts. Do we see those kind of violence that Mark produces? Mark produces violence in anger, in inflammation, ulcer, in degeneration. Here we have hypersensitivity, whereas the sensitivity leads to the, in the mark, the level of the violence. If the excitability is coming up, then it is seen at the level of violence. ठीक है कि नहीं?
Yes, sir.
Now, ignitia, there are so many contrary symptoms. Ignitia has the contradictory states. In this patient also, worse by pressure but better by tight bandage. This patient is hot but tendency to catch cold by cold things. Patient is hurt but consolation aggravates. So ignitia can very well come up. Then why not ignitia? Hello. What is the somatization and how fast somatization is seen in ignitia? Ignitia may have a silent grief, but that produces the deviation in the person. Person may have excitability, but that affects the nerves. Now excitability nerves run to the somatization. Tantrums, hysteria. Are you with me? The strychnine in the ignitia, the logenesy, that is why that runs in the case. अरे पटला के नहीं पटला?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Now in this reportation, nowhere natrum self comes. What comes is natrum mure. So Nirubhai was right. Why not natrum mure? What we find here is hyperexcitability. So this hypersensitive, everything is hurt. Patient gets angry, seeks solitude, aversion to talk, worse by consolation. That takes us to natrum group. But we have to find out there is a hyperexcitability where he's shouting, she's shouting. Moreover, what do we find? Staining discharges, psychotic feature. Worse by getting weight in brain. So such natrum which should be worse by getting weight. For example, natrum floor can be worse by getting wet in rain. But their pathology is more going to the degenerative changes. So we require to have the remedy who has such strong psychotic background. Other natrum salt is there, hammering headache and all these features. Now, noise sensitivity is specifically given in the proving of natrum self. And in natrum self, Herring says irritability, dislike to speak or to be spoken to. See here, patient is angry and dislike to be talked, prefers to be alone. So we reach to the one group and then we have to see which one of it. And in natrum, sulfur brings excitability. You know, sulfur brings anger, sulfur brings redness, sulfur brings acridity, sulfur brings burning. Yes?
Yes, sir.
So that is why it is natrum, but which natrum? It is sulfate. टाइम क्या हुआ?
11:26.
11:20.
11:21. Now the point comes up which began in the first session, whether disposition can be corrected. So today I called up this patient at Gujarat and I got the data which was very, very astonishing. Patient says, earlier it never used to happen that my food will not be added by salt, but now I don't need कम नहीं होना चाहिए घर में बनाया whatever is cooked that is sufficient for me. I have stopped adding salt. ये सारे symptoms मैं बोल रहा हूँ from the time when medicine has started. अब लिखते जाओ salt का कम हो गया. I asked, you don't like sweets, how come it is chocolate that you like? She said, right from beginning I don't like sweets, but I like chocolates. Which chocolate? Dark chocolate. So I said, dark chocolate is bitter. You love bitter? She said, yes, I love bitter. आप करेला कितना खा लोगे? वापिस करेला आया इधर. That case was natrum that was also natrum. This is cases of natrum. She says, I eat 250 to 300 gram karela. मजे से. She said, मेथी भी कड़वी होती है ना. मेथी की भाजी मैं खा लेती हूँ. मेथी का हर आइटम में खा लेती हूँ. I like bitter things. After natrum self, she says, it is not that I crave for it. Now, 100 gram of karela is enough for me. I feel contented with 100 gram also. Obese, she said, since the time I have started the treatment, I have lost weight. I was above 108 kg. Now I am 103 kg. Earlier, my food used to be in much more quantity. Her every vegetable used to be about 300 grams. Then 4 chapati, then this much rice, then all other food. But now she feels satisfied with 1 or 1.5 chapati. It is by not somebody suggested it. She by herself feels I am contented with this, and her weight has come down. She says, I don't like sweets. Now, since the time I have been diagnosed as diabetes, I prefer to take something sweet. So I said, why that is so? Now, since 7 months, she has taken that she will not eat chocolate. Because every day, otherwise she used to take chocolate, not more than at least 1 piece. So to avoid that, she has stopped chocolate. So she says, since I have stopped chocolate, I take some little sweet after the food, which she never used to like. But that is not after the remedy. Her sensitivity to noise persists, but her tendency to get affected, getting headache, has reduced much. She has got only twice in these 3-4 months of treatment. And earlier she said, I don't know why my headache would suddenly start, and whatever medicine I would take, it used to last for 2 days. But the last headache, what she received, she said, I simply applied Vicks. Earlier also she used to apply Vicks and take analgesic and lot of things. She said, I applied Vicks little bit, I slept, and in the morning, my headache was gone. So I get my frequency is much less and my intensity is also less. Tendency is improving. Now, her tendency to be at the hypersensitive at the level of mind. She says, now I have learned to adjust and I can control my anger. I don't feel like shouting to that extent. And I prefer to be in company at that time. No way I say, I separate myself from others. I still get affected if I am getting consolation at that time. She was absolutely thirstless if you thought, if you have seen earlier. She says, now I drink water in good quantity. And I was not taking sweets because raw sugar used to cause hyperacidity in me. But now I no longer get hyperacidity and I am much relieved. But not sweets, so she has already take raw sugars are taking much less only. But otherwise also what she was getting hyperacidity, that is over. I get sound sleep. I feel much stable and my ego is controlled. So Nirubhai, disposition can be corrected. And if not corrected, it will not be permanent cure. I hope this gives answers to various of our questions, and which I have observed in many questions. Now, yesterday I got one case. Her diabetes is under control, blood pressure is under control, her pains are under control, sleep is much better with the remedy. But she said, Doctor, I have started developing forgetfulness. I don't remember things. I have to review the remedy. Because this tendency was not there, patient has started developing the tendency and which is increasing day by day. So please don't see the symptoms improvement. Always see the tendency improvement. Okay? We will continue to have talk. Saturdays are plenty, but today time is we have surpassed 30 minutes. So this is a time we should stop and we adhere to the timing as far as possible. So there is one suggestion that we can take case or any discussion on subsequent days if it is required. So like Saturday and Monday or Saturday and Sunday or Saturday and Tuesday. Then we can have a gap for 2 weeks so that we get enough time to introspect, think over and work out whatever material is circulated. So just send your suggestions in the group. And if you have yet not filled up the Google form for registration, Dr. Manali or Dr. Pankaj, please send the link in the chat box so that people can register so that you will get the updates. Now, these updates will be given only to the people who are registered. Now, we will not circulate to any other groups because we don't want to disturb them again and again. So all the recordings, case material, discussion material will be only in the homeopathic Saturday study group. So please fill the form and this will be added to the study group. And all are welcome to this study group. You can circulate to the sincere people who really want to learn. And This is at the fundamental beginning level. Those who are already into the practice and experience, they can help other beginners. This is absolutely free for students, interns, and teachers. If anybody wants to contribute for the course, they are welcome to do so. They can approach, we'll send them the link where they can make some payment. That will support this activity to go ahead and on the regular basis. Okay, so we'll meet again.
Yes, sir.
And please send your feedback on the group, and Dr. Manali may circulate feedback form so that this series of 4 sessions are over on this case, which has touched lots of fundamental, and these fundamentals will be using in other cases, so that now our speed will be faster. We'll sort out our confusions, if at all there are any, and we'll function ahead. Okay, so see you then. Have a good night.
See you, sir. Good night. Thank
मिलते
you.
रहेंगे. Keep in touch. Share your ideas and views. If you have any material which you want to share on this Saturday group, you all are welcome, and we evolve together. Bye.